Okay, so welcome back to this YouTube channel. Today we're going to be looking at how to rig boots with the updated version of the Sub 3D Nina devkit. Now, I'll just go right ahead and say that this tutorial is sort of an intermediate tutorial in the sense that I I didn't show the process of creating the boots because it took me a much longer time than expected, and I wasn't able to capture the entire process on film. But we're going to start from the import process. I already have it saved as a an obj. So this is the thigh high obj. Okay, so I've already created the object before now, and with the UV maps already, what's left is the materials, I believe. So I'll just remove that. So that's the starting point for today's tutorial. So apologies that I wasn't able to capture the entirety of the process. So the boots were actually made for the Nina body and not the Dina one. So I'm just going to go ahead and hide this. Then I'll go ahead and expose the Dina body. Okay. So if you know how to make boots, okay, these are the fits that we're using. Hold on. These were made with the tall feet. Yes. So if you know how to make boots, okay, boots or any type of shoes that you will rig, you want to have rigged to the Nina body. And when I say rigged, I mean weighted, like with the weights transferred and everything. If you know how to make those boots, go ahead and make the boots. If you do not know, then it's possible that I would have to make a tutorial later on. So please be sure to let me know in the comments if that is something you people would like to see in the near future. Okay, so let me add just one material so we can see the distinction of the boots. So I'm just going to call this boots 1. I'll put this, index this with 30. Okay, so, and I'll quickly change the viewport display color. Okay, so you can see this is what the boots look like on the Nina body. So the main purpose of today's tutorial is showing how the boots are rigged. Okay, like I said, we've made the UV maps already, so I'll just go ahead, select everything, and then I'll use Ctrl E to clear my sharps. Then I'll also select everything here. Okay, let me scale this down a bit, just by like 0.9 or 0.95 looks better. Okay, then I'll select everything, UV, seams from islands. Okay, so now we have our seams, and then we can assign materials accordingly. So let's carry on with that process. So I think I have like 4 materials for this boots item. So as you can see, we don't have the right side of the boots yet. Okay, so and neither of course the boots aren't rigged yet, so we're going to cover that entire process. So it's not entirely a fresh tutorial. All what's fresh is the boot creation process that unfortunately I wasn't able to capture effectively. So let's go ahead and create our materials. Boots 2, 31. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and press H to temporarily hide that. Okay, so now we're going to use our vertex select. Okay, no, not our vertex select yet. Let's do something different today. So I'm going to use L with the face select like we normally would, and then I'm going to select this part of the boot. So I put this part of the boot on its own separate material. So this is going to be boots, I'll call this one boots 4 because I want it to be the 4th material, and then that's going to be 33 now. Let me adjust its own viewport color. Then I'm going to use, okay, so Control Z to reselect it. Then I'm going to press H to also temporarily hide boots 4. Then I'm going to use the vertex select because this whole, well, I call it the sole now, the sole of the boots, it's all on it's all in one material, or I want for it to be all in one material. So as you can see, okay, hold on 1 second, hold on. It's flipped because I remember this isn't the positioning of the boots of this. Hold on. So what has happened in my case is that this particular material is flipped on along the x-axis. Okay, so what does that mean? That means things that are on the left. Okay, so this, I'm selecting the left half of the material of the object. So things that are on the left are showing on the right hand side of the UV map. Okay, and then things that are on the right in the 3D viewport. So all I need to do is I'm going to use my vertex select, then hover over any of the vertices here, then press L, then I'm going to press S, then X, then -1. Alright, so that's going to flip my UVs. I would like to scale these on the y-axis, please. Okay, so GY. Let me scale these ones too. Okay, so SY. Okay, SY. S, then Y. Okay, then bring this down. Okay, that should be fine. Then I'm going to press, okay, hold on, let me assign it to its own material. So with the entire sole selected, I'm going to assign it to boots 3. Boots 3. This is going to be 32 now. Then I'm going to move this up so I'm not confused later on. Then adjust the viewport display color. But see, this is the importance of having these different viewport display colors. I haven't assigned it yet, so that's how I know that I haven't assigned it yet. I'm going to press Alt A to deselect, then Alt H to unhide everything. And I'm going to come back and select boots 2 because I don't want the viewport display color to be white, so I'll just change it to maybe red or yellow. Okay, so it's very important that you verify the, let me say, the orientation of your UV map. Okay, so here's how I would go about that. So I have this, right? Okay, let's do something. I'll select everything in boots 1. Then I'm going to press Ctrl I, then press H to hide. Now let's verify the orientation of our boots. So now if I press this selection, right? This selection is going towards the right of my 3D viewport. Now how I can verify the orientation of my UV map is by selecting, the next phase. So the next face, so next line of faces. So if this next line of faces is towards the right, on my UV map, is towards this side on my UV map, then I know that the orientation isn't right. But if it's towards this side, which is the left, then I know the orientation is right. So let's go. So and then I'm going to hold Alt and Shift, then click here, Okay, so now I know the orientation is right, so I can keep on verifying. And now I know that the orientation is correct, so let's go ahead, press Alt H. Now I can hide, let me hide boots 1. So let's do the same thing for boots 2. Okay, everything is fine with boots 2. Okay, then let's check for the heel, because we've already done for the okay, the heel is the heel okay, the heel has the map is okay, so we can temporarily rotate it by -90. Okay, so let's check. Okay, so you can see even the hue is improperly, doesn't have the correct orientation. So what we're going to do now in the hues case is we're going to press S, then Y, then -1. Okay, now if you check, let's go back and rotate it by -90, you'll see that our orientation is now in order. Okay, so let's undo our rotation. Let's check this face. This face should be fine. It looks like it's fine. There's a way to check faces like this. Okay, what you can do is you can select vertex select mode and just join two vertices together. So I'm going to select two opposite vertices, and then I'll press J. Now you can see that the face is okay. Let's check. Let's join two vertices again with J to check if up and down are fine. Alright, that looks fine. That looks fine. At the end of the day, it's all one face. So let's press Ctrl Z a few times to undo all that we've done here, because we just want this one here to be one face, but it depends on what you want. If you want that to be several faces, it would help with how it looks, but generally speaking, no one is going to go nitpicking at the heel of your boots, so I don't think that's something to be worried about. Okay, so let's come back to layout mode and let's first process how we're going to try and make the right copy of the boots. All I'm going to do is I'm going to go into armatures, right, or modifiers. Okay, so modifiers, then I'm going to mirror. Okay, then the axis is, of course, is going to be X. We don't need clipping. There's no clipping here, so that's fine. Now we've mirrored it, but it's time to highlight what's going on in the data portion of our mirror modifier. So if we want different UV maps for each boot, and these UV maps are on their own respective axes, okay, all we need to do is, we're going to mirror on the U. Now let's come back to our UV editor for a quick display. So this is our U axis and this is our V axis. That's what they are called in UV editing, kind of like how in math you'd have your X and your Y. So we're not going to mirror the U because I just want one texture to be copied on both segments of the boot. So if I paste one texture here, I want it to automatically reflect on the other one without me having to flip and redesign and everything. So I'm going to check on mirror you, and then I'm going to fold that back up. Okay, now I can apply this modifier. So we have a complete set of boots. We have a complete set of boots with this. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to proceed to transferring weights to these boots. Now here is where the work begins. So as you can see, the body, all right, this body doesn't have the feet attached to it, and we are, from what we've been doing, we're used to having say for instance we had a dress. Okay, uh basically the dress is covering parts of the body, and then we'd only need to transfer weights from just the body. But now we're transferring weights from just the body and then with the feet. So here's what you can do. I'll first use Shift D to duplicate this body. Okay, so Shift D, and then I unhide the first one so that it doesn't tamper with the first one. Okay, all right, then I press H with the boot selected. Then with the high feet, or the feet that you are using to transfer your weights, okay, I do the same Shift D process. Then I hide the original rather, and then I'm going to select the feet. Then I'm going to shift hold on and I'm going to shift select the body, and I'm going to Control J. Now what I have is different from this in the sense that this one doesn't have feet, and then this one has feet joined automatically. So this is just one object that will facilitate the transferring of weights to our boots. Okay, so let's quickly rename these to thigh boots. Okay, now we can transfer weights with our custom join of the sub 3D GA inner body with the tall feet. So you can select your body, then you shift select the boots, go into weight paint, weights, then transfer weights. Okay, so we still have the settings because on because I recently just worked on this project. So you can see the settings here are nearest face interpolated, then you switch this to by name. Okay, then you Control tab back into object mode. What you now want to do is you need to select just your boots, then shift select the skeleton, then Control P with empty groups. Now you can drag across the timeline to see the results of your rigging. You can also check individually by switching your armature into pose mode by using Control tab. Okay, that looks fine as well. So check for the left side as well. You can check for the left side. Okay, all right, so you can come back. Now that we have our boots rigged, and yes, so our boots are now rigged, all we need to do now is we need to export our boots. So as usual, all you need to do is make sure that your boots, or your items rather, are the only thing in the clothing export collection. So let's go ahead and make a new collection somewhere. So I'm just going to go into the main scene collection, And then if I scroll down, I'll have a collection here, so I'll just call this other items. Then I can move the dress we made earlier in the last tutorial. I can move it into this other items collection here. Alright, so now that my boots are the only thing in this, I can go ahead and export using the export button in your IMVU Studio devkit Studio Toolkit panel. Then I'll export. Okay. Now that it's exported, all I need to do now is come back to IMVU Studio to import it. So again, we go to create. Then I already have SOB3D searched for. So we're not creating tops this time around, we're creating shoes. Okay, so now you're going to look for the feet you want. Okay, so take note of the name of the base feet you modeled this after. By the way, that I modeled this with the Blender, with the modeling dev kit that comes with this updated kit. Okay, so I modeled this with the tall feet. So you take note of the name. Okay, then you can search for tall. Okay, and that gives you these two. So this one, you use it when you have tattoos and toe rings to add. The textures are equally included. This one, you use it when you just want to go straight to the feet, and that's what we're planning on doing with this project. So we're going to click on it, then we click on derive. Okay, so now using my left mouse, I can pan down. So these are our feet. Let's go ahead and add the opacity. Since these are feet, you can use a black opacity, or you can equally use the MCG. Alright, so that's going to expose our feet for us. You can change the color of the toenails. There are default toenails there included, so you can change their opacity if you wish, or you can leave them as is. Okay, so now we are going to go ahead and import our FBX. So go ahead and rename the boots to thigh highs, or whatever you decide to call yours. Then you import your FBX. Okay, so now we go to set up FBX. For boots, the number I would recommend, I haven't really checked what doesn't clash with boots. What ID doesn't clash with boots? So let's just use 99. Let's use 99, but I'm sure there are some things that will clash with 99. So I'll show you how to use a custom number, a custom three-digit number. Okay, let's go to our materials. Yes, we don't have textures. Okay, so it's important to note that if you decide to bake textures, right? Let's preview this in rendered mode. So this is what our boots look like in rendered mode, and then if we bake, we're going to basically bake this output onto images. All right, so if you want to bake your boots, I would suggest you select, or hold on, you come into your wireframe, press B to select, and then select an entire half of the boots. Okay, so do this carefully so that you don't mistakenly select into the other boots. Then I'm going to press P to detach this part of the boots from this part. Okay, Then I bake just this one because this one has the correct orientation, and once you bake it, it's going to, the textures automatically copy onto this one as well. But if you decide to bake the two of them together, you're going to have clashing bakes in your output render. So that's just a little tip for you. So when baking, just bake only the correct half of the boots. Let's continue with our FPX. Maybe I think we should just have to go ahead and bake it to make sure that we're all on the same page. So okay, I have 4 materials. Yes, correct. Now I'm going to go ahead, so selecting my first material, I come here in my node editor, or shader editor as it's called in the newer versions of Blender, then Shift A and S, then image texture. Then I'm going to create a new image. This one I'm going to call this one boots 1. I prefer using 256 by 512. Set the dimensions as you wish, but they don't go above 256 by 256 or 256 by 512. I'm not sure if there's a 512 by 256, but I know there is a 256 by 512, so just have that in mind. Okay, so Shift A, S, image texture again. I will have this time boots 2. Same process again, this time with boots 3. Shift A, S, image texture, boots 4. Alright, so very important, let's come back to layout mode. So it's very important we do this check. So check for the cameras along here. Make sure everyone is off other than the ones for the lights. Okay, than the ones for the lights. Then the ones for the object that you wish to bake the textures for. So I turned off the camera for the left boot, and left on the camera for just the right boot that we plan on baking. And in our shading tab, we can come here to the scene area. Then I'm coming here to expand the bake section of this portion, and then I click bake. Now the settings you have here, if you do not have a GPU, most likely this will be switched back to CPU. So the settings you have here will greatly impact the speed of your baking. So generally GPU compute tends to be the fastest approach, but it all depends on your computer at the end of the day, because even with some GPUs, I believe that could still be slow. So yes, so these are our outputs. This one is black because, one second, let's switch to rendered view. This one is black because it's inside. This one is out, it's white because it's outside, and then you can see the shadow of this part on it. So just wanted to point that out and make it clear. Okay, so we have our textures now. Let's go ahead and save our textures. Okay, export. So we can save a copy or save as, whatever you prefer. Okay, now let's continue. So these areas we have the red question marks are where we can put our textures. So let's go ahead, boots 1. boots 2, boots 3, and boots 4. Okay, so next, no, we do not need the animation. Always uncheck this so that your file isn't bombarded with things it doesn't need. And okay, this looks accurate. Then you now import. Okay, so we have an error somewhere. I don't think we matched the textures accordingly. No, we didn't match the textures accordingly. That's a mistake from our own end. So let's come to component. Okay, so you can see this one went to 34 because we accidentally used a curly bracket instead of a square bracket there. Okay, let me go ahead and reset the file for us so that we're all on the same page. Okay, so I've now re-imported and I've now re-exported my file and I'm ready to re-import my FBX. So we'll go ahead, we'll just copy the name from the old one, then we can select it and press delete to delete it, and then I press Ctrl V to give it the same name, and I set up my FBX. Okay, so like I said, I was going to show you the way of getting custom numbers. You can leave the scale as 1 since this is something imported from the IMVU Studio devkits. Okay, so now we have our materials in order with their respective material IDs. So now I'm just going to go to boots 1, boots 2, boots 3, and boots 4. Okay, next. No, I do not want the animation. I review and import, so I import. Okay, and now this is exactly what we were looking for. So you can see, just baking one side, the textures copied automatically to the other side. You can see the textures baked accurately. To fix this, I would recommend maybe you use your loop cut tool. So let's go ahead and do that right now. Let's go to rendered view so that you can see live and direct. So to access this tool, what I did was I pressed Ctrl R, so I can use my scroll wheel to increase the number of cuts. So let's see what adding 5 cuts would do. Okay, so that's 5 cuts. So you can see that stretch of black at towards the base of the shoe is pushed lower. So that's what you can do. But I've already gone past the baking phase. It's for this tutorial, and that's how you import boots. That's how you import your boots into IMVU with the sub 3D Nina devkit. So remember to always verify the base shoes, the base fits that you're deriving from. Now the last bit of this tutorial is me showing you how to get a custom 3-digit figure for your mesh ID, so that to reduce the chances of your boots colliding with other items already in the shop. So what we're going to do is we are going to go into our mesh, right? Then we come here and we change the body part, I believe. So let's try 999 here. Alright, so nothing is going to change. All what you've done is you've just increased the body count to beyond the 2-digit limit of the default entry. So this reduces your chances of your boots clashing with other items in the store. 3-digit numbers I would recommend. Like I said, you have a wider pool now. Maybe try 333 or 444 or 421, just a random number, random 3-digit number that you know isn't going to collide with any items. I don't know any popular items that use 3-digit numbers, but it's your guess at the end of the day. All right, so that's our boots making process for this tutorial, or boots waiting process. Okay, so be sure to comment if you would like to see a video on making boots or any kinds of shoes that you would want. Also comment the kinds of videos that you would want to see in the future on this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video you found it helpful. Please subscribe to the channel and like this video to increase the chances of people who would need this information finding it on their own. You can also share it with people that you know would benefit from this video. Thank you once again, and see you in the next video.